Okay, and we are now live. And so I believe this should be shared on your pages as well. Let's just have a look and make sure. But it should be, yeah, IVX and Symmio. Perfect. Yeah, it should be live. And we're seeing some people tuning in already. So ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome back. It's Friday. It's another episode of the Weekly Vol. This one's a very, very, very special episode. And that's because we're joined by our new partners, IVX's new partners, Symmio, of course, who are the infrastructure, the backing of everything that we're going to do with our new product Levo, which we just announced this week. So I'm very, very, very excited to introduce both Jack and Laffer today to join us on talking about all things markets again. So yeah, first of all, guys, thank you for joining us. And how's it going?
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's a
Thanks for having
pleasure.
us.
I
It's
think everything is going well. I
yeah.
think everything is going well. Yeah, yeah. Like I would have actually never expected that Trump would do it. That Trump would free Ross. As you can see on my puppet, like
Yep. Yep.
Silk Road has been like one of the reasons I'm in crypto. Not because I used it, but because everyone asked me how to use it and how to buy
Yep.
Bitcoin and how to uh, like what it all means. So when I discovered Bitcoin through it, I was immediately hooked. So I'm wearing this puppet as a resemblance of that. And I would
As a
have,
symbol.
yes, I would have never thought that Trump would do it. I thought he just said that. Yeah. So it's actually like, and I would have never thought that he would ever get out because I remember like how his case was held and what the people that threw him in jail thought about the whole situation. I remember like that this whole thing went like until the White House, right? Basically, people in the White House gave the order to find him and they did whatever it took, right? It never actually came to light how they found the servers and stuff. So yeah, for me personally, it's like the biggest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, it truly is a pretty wild time, actually, I'd say. Um, Jack, how's everything been on your side over the last week? You know, with the craziness of what's been going on in the market, and of course Trump and his meme coins.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty insane. But like the one thing that's really confusing to me is how do we have the most bullish news in the history of crypto, and the markets are barely moving? It's like, I don't know. Are we getting tired? What's happening? Are we already tired of winning? Because like,
That's his quote, right?
yeah, right. Like it seems everyone's already tired of winning. Like, how can we
Yeah.
not? How come the markets aren't pumping? I don't get that. But it's been all extremely bullish news. This is honestly like a reality I didn't expect to be coming. Like I couldn't see it. I thought that the U.S. would forever, hold down traders and the markets and not create regulation. So it's honestly a really inspiring time. I'm excited to see how it continues to play out, what executive orders are coming out today, but it's just been so bullish and it's so exciting to finally get clarity, right? Like we're going to have clarity in the markets. We're going to have regulation that we can work with. Companies don't have to fear for their lives anymore, especially like Bank of America coming out and announcing, like they're pro crypto. They were one of the most against crypto and like 2018, 2019, 2020. Like if you had a Bank of America account, a business account, or even an individual account, they close you so quickly. Like it was a terrible problem.
Mm.
So, nah, man, I'm really excited to see how this shakes down. But I also just don't really understand the disconnect between the markets and the most bullish time ever.
Well, let's have a look in a second. We're very happy that Bob's been able to join as well. So we've got we've got IVX and the Sim team here now, and I'm seeing already there's like hundreds and hundreds of people that are tuning in. All the volatists are here. I'll just put some of their messages on screen right now. How's it going, everyone? Glad to see all of you spending your Friday with us. Man, there's loads of you here. Look at you're blowing up the messages already. How's it going, guys? Glad to have you here. Right, so Bob, you want to say anything first for all the volatists watching right now?
No, just I wanted to say hi, and like Discord should have a lot of alpha, I think, especially
Ooh.
Fluffa is here.
If Laffa's here, if Laffa and Jack are here, then there's definitely going to be alpha spilled for sure. So yeah, absolutely right. Okay, so let's have a look at the chart first a little bit and kind of see what's actually been going on. Because like, yeah, you're right. Like Jack, as you mentioned, like we've had all of this crazy stuff happen in the last week, but we're at the same prices as last Friday. Yeah, we've had some ridiculous intraday volatility there. I mean, this is like the 4-hour chart, and like the wicks and the candles that we've seen, these red ones, these green ones, it's been a pretty, I mean, I've tried to trade the last week quite a lot, but I've got chopped up a little bit here and there. So yeah, interested to hear like what your thoughts are about like the intraday volatility especially.
Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead.
I feel like we're in the situation where everyone thinks either everything is priced in or nothing is priced in yet. So there is no clear direction. I would say everyone is still very uncertain about the whole situation.
And like, how do you personally, and of course, just for everyone who's watching, nothing on this show is financial advice. We're just some random people just speculating on what could possibly happen in the market. But what are your thoughts? Like, do you think it's priced in, or do you think like there's that this isn't priced in, and perhaps there's some more volatility, whether that's to the upside or to the downside to come?
Yeah, it's a at this point it's a really tough question, and I feel like that's also reflected in the market. In general, we had this 4-year cycles in crypto, right?
Yes.
But they were also super correlated with everything related to stocks, right? Now we have America changing their stance completely, but will this actually become law, or is this only a few years, right? So there's a lot of open questions. And also what happens with the Bitcoin that America still holds, right? That they all got from Ross. So these are like, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty still in the market. But short term, and I would say the macroeconomy is aligning with that. I believe recession fears have been for 2025 kind of like swept away. Aligns with Trump being in office. So in my opinion is that while it might be a little bit choppy and it might go down a little bit more or again, it's next year is definitely bullish, like this year's.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Jack, what do you think? Like on the same topic as well.
Honestly, like for me, I think people are accumulating. I feel like institutions are packing their bags, but I don't know when it's going to go off, because it just I think there's a disconnect here, especially with what's going on with the SEC. Like, yes, like Laffa does have a point. Like, is this actually going to become law? We've seen some of Trump's executive orders already be challenged in court. But from my perspective, like the changes directly at the SEC, especially, with Hester getting appointed, I don't know. I feel like the market, the market is giving time for people to accumulate, let the billionaires pack their bags before we send it to the moon. But again, I do not know. No clue what's going on.
Fine. I guess we'll soon find out. But on that regard, like, have you been trading like the markets in the last week? Like, what have you been speculating on, if anything?
I have not. I'm just a Bitcoin holder, man. I keep it simple. I've been in the market, I've been working full time in crypto for 8 years, and I've chased narratives early on in my early days and just got wrecked. I am not a good trader. I know that. So my strategy is just accumulate and hold.
I like it. I like it. I mean, one thing that I've been doing over the last week, because the volatility has been so crazy, and therefore like the funding rates have been pretty crazy, is just casually, farm some of those funding rates, doing some delta neutral strategies. And yeah, for those of you listening, hopefully you'll soon be able to do this, with Symmio on Berachain through IVX. So yeah, that's just been a nice strategy for me. No exposure to the market with this small position, and at least I can like farm some at times like high double digits. I think even momentarily triple digit yields. So yeah, that's been pretty fun. And of course, it's not going to last forever, but in times like this, it's pretty nice, right?
Got to get it how you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bob, I know what you've been up to recently, but I mean, for the audience and for all of the guys tuning in right now, have you been trading anything? Like, what's your take on kind of the market overall, especially with Trump as well?
It's very simple. I'm long vol in February because I think the meeting end of this month will be very interesting. And I'm stacking some capital for Berachain Boyko farming. I think Berachain Boyko farming will be something very interesting, and we should pay attention to that.
I see. And Jack, it looks like Laura also has a similar strategy to you. Hell yes, accumulate and hodl BTC. I like it. So have any of you three, maybe Laffer, we'll start with you. Like, have any of you three tried to touch like the new meme coins, especially like Trump itself?
Oh yeah, like I'm personally, because we're currently working on, or like I'm working with a team who's building like a solver for memes on Sim. We're doing some stuff there, but
Interesting.
I would be like, it is truly a casino, right?
It is.
And also at this current time, it is very like the time when like, it basically always happens, like most of the launches happen around like 5 a.m., right? So we have the solver is like from Canada, so he's catching stuff, but I'm mostly sleeping.
Yeah, I think the same thing
yeah,
happened to me.
there's there's so much volume for all of that, but you can never, like, it is insanely hard. I spoke to a lot of people I know from 2017. It's insanely hard to do anything in this market other than MEV on Solana and like providing infrastructure, actually hitting the narratives. Unless you just kind of like invest into meme in fundamental memes. Yeah, but trading those new launches and stuff is, but it's also thrilling, right? So for me personally, I like this whole Trump thing.
Yeah, I definitely relate to the thrilling aspect of it as well. I think that's part of, like, I guess the allure of like why memes are so fun, right? You go on these roller coasters where you have incredible vol, to the upside and then also to the downside too. And sometimes you can play them right, sometimes you can kind of be the house, I guess, LP them. There's so many different things that you can do with them. Long them, short them, delta neutral farm them. I think that's like one of the things about derivatives that I like in general, that you just have so much more optionality. And I'm really intrigued to see like what comes out of Symmio and these solvers who are kind of bringing meme coins to everyone. I think that'd be awesome. Jack, like, again, like, have you been dabbling in these meme coins recently as well?
I mean, I always take a small bag and just have some fun. You just got to do it. I miss Trump. I was in bed. I go to bed early. I'm in the U.S. But no, I mean, I always, like it's fun. If you're a crypto degen like us, where you're constantly online on crypto Twitter, It's fun to see the narratives that are happening in real time and try to go trade them and then just get wrecked. But it, so no, I've thrown in like I saw the AI meta coming, so I got an AI 16Z at like 4 cents, so that was a good bag to get. But
Very
again,
nice.
it's it's like a total gamble out here with these. I think you got to go in with that attitude. It's like showing up to the roulette table and throwing it all on green with meme coins. Like you're probably going to lose, but there's a chance you could hit on something. And if you're savvy enough and following and listening or kind of seeing, reading between the lines on crypto Twitter, you can catch some meta or new things that are coming. But yeah, Trump is pretty crazy. I mean, what does that mean for like Hawk to a girl? Like, can she come out of hiding now that Trump has launched a coin? Because she's been hiding for 2 months because everyone was getting on her. But like, I don't know. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be extremely degenerate for the next year to see what happens here. And Lafa, maybe you want to talk about the meme solver. I mean, that's something we're
Yeah.
looking here at Symmio is how can we get people access to these memes, and how can we make it even more degenerate by adding leverage and allowing these people to long and short these meme tokens.
It's not only leverage, right? It is also like you just need a right now. I'm actually working on some article about that I'm writing. Maybe I post it someday. It's basically right now we have, when I remember 2017, where I was like super active trading, right?
Mhm.
We had like, there was so many coins, right? And all of them had like in some way or form utility, but it was also mainly narrative trading, right? And for longest part, like most of these projects, they never actually built what they said they're gonna build, right? So people just traded them. There was not a lot of fundamentals, right? Now with DeFi and DEXs and yield fund, we actually have like fundamentals. But back then we didn't. Everyone just pretended. And it was a very similar, like the market was very similar in the ICO days, um, without the pretending that it has utility. So, and I think if you work in crypto, if you're a protocol founder, if you in any way or shape or form build infrastructure, then you can never lose that connection to the market. Otherwise, like bad things happen. Like people that are working on a blockchain and they're not really in tune with the market, right? I guess we heard a lot about that in the last week with all of the things that are happening in Ethereum, right? Where the Ethereum Foundation is like focused on non-financial applications on top of Ethereum. Yeah, you need to be connected to the market, and a little bit of trading helps with that because you can actually check: am I in tune with the market? Am I making money? If you're not, then you're completely disconnected, right? Like you have no clue what's going on. So it's a little bit of a self check. And yeah, we want to build infrastructure. We want to provide these tools because right now it is basically that everyone can make a meme or everyone can make a token. Entry barrier is super low, but in reality, you can only, like, current current tech only allows you to buy the token, right? So if you want to participate, you buy it. But if you have some different opinion about this token, you can actually not do anything else, right? You can just maybe write about it on Twitter. You cannot really short it or do anything else, right? Buy an option on it. It's not really possible, right? We only have like spot tokens, and also the tokens itself are not 100% pure, right? If you launch a meme related to, for example, when there was like this thing happening with Peanut, then there was like 50 different tokens, right? So when you're buying like a related to an event, like for example that the horrible death of that squirrel, then
you're not really 100% investing into that event or something that the reality that comes out of that event. You're kind of also investing into who launched the token, right?
Yes.
Who were the first to buy it, right? So it's not 100% pure. But I believe with enough financial tooling, we can actually fine tune that so much that we are actually able to trade everything, right? Any real world event, anything that happens in the purest form. And I believe derivatives are like the missing piece. But right now, no one has any like viable solution for long tail assets. And when we built Symmio, it was always like the main goal to provide like good infrastructure for very long tail assets.
Very, very interesting. And I think, you guys at Symmio, you've already built like a incredible infrastructure to facilitate, blue chips, but also kind of, altcoins. Even now, like, people can trade through Symmio front ends, the AI agent coins and whatever. And I guess meme coins is like, another kind of subsection of these long tail assets, which clearly have like, retail demand. I mean, look at the volume that's on screen right now. Like this is just in the last 24 hours, I believe. And so, I mean, the volume on some of these assets is absolutely crazy. And I don't think that it's going to stop anytime soon. I think people are still going to speculate. We're in this hyper gambleization era, I believe, where speculation is really thriving, and therefore like creating strong infrastructure to support this is critical. And that's kind of what you guys are doing, of absolutely also kind of part of our vision as well, with creating derivatives specifically on Berachain. So yeah, I can't wait for that. Super exciting. And I think, yeah, there's clearly product market fit there with what we're seeing on chain. You mentioned something really interesting as well that is really important, as builders as well, to be in tune with the market and trade. Certainly something that we at IVX, do quite often. We're kind of trading regularly, and I think that kind of helps us to create products that people actually want as well. That's why we started off with a 0DTE option market, and that's kind of why we introduced Levo, this intent-based perpetual market powered by you guys at Symmio. I think actually it would be interesting to kind of dive into this a little bit more. I'll just stop sharing my screen here. Maybe Bob, we can kick it off, like kind of talking about like why we even decided to kind of create something like this. We created an option market, and then now creating a perpetual futures market. Maybe just for the audience here, there's over 1,000 of you now tuning in on your Friday, so welcome everyone. But yeah, I thought it would be good to just kind of overview and highlight like kind of what the plan from our side especially was.
Yeah, for sure. So the GLT market is actually very interesting, but the problem is it is very short term. And what we noticed, like after asking a lot of our users, is that they wanted something a bit longer term, and they wanted to trade assets that are not, it's like not usually found on chain, especially long tail assets. And for example, like the coming bear chain assets that might not have like a lot of liquidity on chain. And as Lafo mentioned, like 2 years ago, like I still remember his YouTube videos, like most of the price discovery is happening on sexes rather than texes, So you need to find a way to facilitate this. So you either do this through like a very well optimized order book, which is like not very easy to do with like the current infrastructure that's happening, or you do it through bilateral agreements, which is what Symmio built. So like this is basically from the technical side, but from the incentive side, I think you and like Waj and me discussed a lot about how we can advise traders to have more skin in the game and have like more directional bets through bribing and through proof of liquidity. And this is like where IVX will focus a lot of its energy on mainnet. So yeah, you can go into that, Waj, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it kind of nicely. Like, really, we want to kind of create, a perpetual futures market. I think that first of all goes really in line with kind of what we're building in terms of being this hub of derivatives on Berachain. And I think there's no better partner for us to do this with than the Symmio guys. They've been able to demonstrate incredible infrastructure that works really well. I think I myself and some of the rest of the IVX team have been pretty much power users of Symmio infrastructure front ends, and we thought, there is a unique opportunity here to bring this to Berachain and add some unique twists on top of it as well. And that's kind of what we're doing with Levo. I recommend all of you guys who are tuning in to go and have a look at this article that I'm sharing on screen. It's on the IVX Twitter page. We can kind of go into a lot of detail, kind of covering exactly kind of what this will entail. But the TLDR is, this is an intent-based perpetual market for all kinds of long-tail assets, including Berachain ecosystem tokens, that we're getting the amazing help with from the Symmio guys. Now, I think some of you guys who are tuning in right now might be fairly new to what intents are, what solvers are, how this even works. So perhaps maybe Laffer and Jack, you can kind of go into a little bit of detail, kind of just giving an overview of what Symmio actually is, so that maybe some of the audience can actually appreciate this.
Yeah. So I personally were a big user during the DeFi summer era, and it already crystallized itself back then that we're gonna deal with a lot of liquidity fragmentation, right? As well as technical limitations of the actual chain itself, which, in DeFi summer it was all about Ethereum becoming too expensive, going to the next chain, this chain becoming too congested, going to the next chain. And also liquidity being fragmented on all the chains, which is kind of like the way how we build blockchains, but also limitations that we have in this universe, right? Tech that gets pushed further and further in terms of throughput, but we will always hit like a ceiling. So we were really sitting down and thinking first principles. How could you create a protocol where you're not really reliant so much on liquidity being like in one place, in one contract, locked, as also the ability to not congest the chain while trading. And that's how we basically came up with, back then we called it automated quotes. Then a lot of other builders in the Ethereum ecosystem came up with a similar idea, and in the end it was the term was, or like this way of trading was called intent. So we were actually working on this before it was called intent. We called it automated quotes. And to explain it very easily, what it is imagine you're buying a house, right? Like you're looking for a house online, and sometimes if you're looking for a house, then they're actually not showing the price, right? They're like saying a price on request. An intent is basically you sending them a request to buy this house, but you're saying if the house costs 1 million, I buy it immediately. Here's the signed check. That's kind of what an intent is. You're sending a signature to a market maker or a seller, right? And you tell them, if you can offer me this price, I immediately buy whatever it is. And with this infrastructure, you can technically trade anything, right? Obviously, for the derivative side, we need a little bit more with the margin system, liquidation system, oracles, funding, and so on and so forth. But doing all of this with intents gives you like a huge, like you have like an insane amount of ability what you can trade, and it is what people are doing in TradFi too, right? Like 90% of derivatives are traded with RFQs, which is kind of like a similar system. So what intents are is like an improved, like, super efficient way of trading requests for quotes. Super fast. We achieved with our intent-based trading, you have like a similar UX than trading with an order book. Whereas if I remember 2017, 19 era, RFQ systems were super, super slow. And if one of you guys, or probably a lot of you, traded on 1-inch fusion, it was also still super slow, right? We have achieved like 50, 100 milliseconds trade execution. And this is really on par with what other decentralized or centralized order books are offering. And that was like one of our main like focuses of the last 2 years was like to bring RFQ UX on par or even better. But everything surrounding liquidity, it is like a lot more efficient. Because another analogy, if you're selling a car, right? Imagine you would need to actually physically put that car somewhere in order for it to be sold, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that's how it worked long time ago. But now I can take a picture of the car, I can put it on that website, on this website, on every website that exists of potentially in my area, right? And then it reaches more people. We have the same approach. Intents offer you the same approach because everything is just in time liquidity. So me as a market maker, I can offer $1 of liquidity at the same time on 20 or 100 separate Symmio front ends. And that's just more capital efficiency. I don't have to actually lock the liquidity. And that's what solves the fragmentation problem. And we kind of believed if we build that protocol, more and more solvers come online, then while liquidity is not fragmented, it's still in one place and every front end can just connect to it. And it's a lot better long term than having a few order books or a few exchanges take like 90% of the liquidity.
So you have like just essentially like one super exchange instead with like multiple front ends. You don't you're aggregating it. You're not causing fragmentation. It's the complete opposite of that. You're actually helping to solve this problem massively, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's like it is how, or it's very similar how traditional finance works, right? Where you have like New York Stock Exchange and then soon Texas Stock Exchange, Amsterdam Stock Exchange, right? And then there's also like these clearing houses in between, and you can trade internationally. And of course, on the Nasdaq, everyone is co-located, right? Market makers are sitting in the same building, which for some reason crypto is also evolving to, which I don't like at all. And we just wanted to, but that's how it is, right? We just wanted to solve this problem once and for all. And I can go more into detail about co-location, but I believe we just have to be more transparent. So what Symmio does is that your counterparty is actually known to you, right? You know exactly who you're trading with. So there is no obscure deal backdoor deals between market makers and like brokers where you're like getting front run, which is kind of also happening now in crypto, right? With co-location. We're just building TradFi 2.0, and we wanted to do it differently. And we have realized that the best way to do it is OTC and true intent.
Got it. Jack, just on to you as well now. Like, in terms of like for the users, what sort of features can they expect to use on any of the sim front ends, and kind of how does it feel for the user? Kind of what benefits do they get as well? Would be good to kind of go into that, as well as like your kind of experience with building Symmio and kind of what it can offer as well. I think Lafa touched upon a lot of those things, but if you had anything else to add on, that would be also pretty good.
Yeah, I think Lafa did a good job there, but Someone asked a question: are solvers not specific to the front end? No, they're not. At this time, they're not. So just kind of to expand upon what Lafa's been talking about. So solvers are not specific to a single front end. They're actually the liquidity is per chain, right? So if we look at like Hyperliquid, those market makers, it's per asset, right? Their liquidity is per asset. So if you go look at their long tail assets, they maybe have $1 million open interest on these long tail assets. But on Symmio, since it's just in time funding, the solver doesn't have to lock capital right away. And actually, really, their only limit is where they're hedging their trades. So if you look at Symmio, like some of those long tail assets, they have like $3 million open interest. That's not due to the solver's lack of liquidity. That's like due to where their hedging is limited. But as far as like features, so we spent all of the summer of last year was really a focus on trying to make our UI more like a centralized exchange. You know, we realized that traders don't really, they don't really have a preference on where they're trading. They want reliable connection. They want fast trades. They want good UX. And so that's, what we did in 2024, introducing instant trading. And then IntentX, has been working super hard on their front end and giving traders all the tools they need. So Symmio, we actually really only work on the protocol. We work with the front ends to give them the features they need to be competitive with centralized exchanges. So, we're obviously working closely with you guys and IntentX on delivering those features traders want. And yeah, but we focus on on the protocol itself. And I guess so. Like, what can you expect for 2025? We're looking at, Lafa had already touched on that, introducing more memes. So working specifically with a meme solver, someone that can hedge on chain, so that we can introduce these crazy long tail assets. So when a new coin like Trump launches, we won't have to wait for liquidity to be added to Binance or a centralized exchange. We're going to be able to offer perps day one. There's some teams working on some cool deals there too with some of these platforms. So it's going to be really interesting to see that happen. Also options, you guys. That's something we've been looking at, is basically how can we bring all of Deribit on chain. So that's, something to look for in 2025 is an expanded, the ability to use options. We're also looking at stocks as well. In some of our writings, we say perps are just the beginning, and it really is. Symmio plans to introduce all different types of derivatives. And so that's kind of what we're looking at 2025. So keep your eyes out for options. I'm sure you guys will be one of the first to get access to that, because that's going to be super sick. And then more long tail assets, bringing in stocks.
Wow, I think that's pretty exciting. I think first of all, I think meme coins are such a viral moment that we've had this cycle. I think even last cycle they were to some extent, but this cycle really shown to have some level of product market fit. I think we've seen like the infrastructure like powering these meme coins, whether it's Pump Fund or whether it's Radium or Jupiter or even some of the stuff on Base, like has really shown that there's crazy demand for it. But like if these solvers can hedge on chain, that's huge. You can get Trump, you can trade Trump, with day one, like you mentioned. So that was pretty awesome. And then you also mentioned the option side of things. I think we'll touch upon that in a moment. And then also like the real world asset, the tokenized real world asset stuff. I think that's been a huge narrative for the cycle as well. And so kind of tokenizing these assets, whether it's individual stocks, maybe it could be indexes as well. I don't know. Maybe it could be tokenized gold. Is that sort of some of the things that we could possibly see?
Yeah, there's
Bring it all on chain.
Bring it all. Bring it all.
So Symmio is what we're doing is we only provide the infrastructure for financial geniuses, right, to create products. This is really all that it. Right now, I would say there's only like a tiny fraction of what could possibly be built available on Sim, right? So we have like a solver, they're providing like Binance futures. Then we have like another solver that providing like Bybit futures. Now we have one working on derivative options. But it could also be a solver that comes and he has his completely own pricing model for anything, right? Or very simple example is always that I'm bringing, like for example, let's say there was like eigenlayer pre-points, right? Points for like pre-launch perps, right? In those markets, if you look at whales market or even hyperliquid, there wasn't a lot of people actually providing liquidity to that. And the reason for that is that you're in an order book, it's a perp, so it's not really connected. You haven't you can't really know what will happen, right? But in Symmio, a solver, he can create the market, he can issue the pricing, he can potentially hedge himself because he has an allocation in eigenlayer, so he can sell his tokens and then basically futures on his tokens, and he is not really bound to what is going on in the order book. So it gives market makers or like anyone who can create structured products a completely new set of toolings that so far didn't exist yet. It didn't. And only a few months ago, and that's like to show how early we actually are in the industry. A few months ago on DeFi Llama, the category derivatives was still labeled as a protocol that offers leverage on assets, while in reality, derivatives are something totally else, right? In crypto, for now, they've only been used for leverage trading, but in reality, there is like real world applications. And in my opinion, a market can only mature truly, like a financial market can only mature if those financial toolings are available. And the reason why there's so much craziness going on in like memes is because there's basically no financial toolings for all of this. Just as a comparison, there was like 5.5 million memes launched last year in pump.fun. And at the same time, there was 100 perps launched on Binance, right? So there's like a huge disconnect. And I know that there's a lot of other protocols working on something similar, but I feel like to really offer liquidity on long tail assets, the one that creates the market needs to have a certain amount of control. He shouldn't have all control, but he should have, because then FTX happens, right? If you have like market maker and exchange like having 100% control, then FTX happens. But if they have no controls, then memes happen. And we need to find like a balance. So that's basically our thesis in all of this.
And I think we're like really looking forward to like being part of this thesis as well. You know, I think we believe in derivatives, and you know, we started off with what we've built, DM, the 0-day to expiry option market, and maybe Bob, like we can kind of talk a little bit about kind of how Symmio fits into the IVX ecosystem and kind of what specifically you know, the users, the bearer, the bears, the volatis, you know, the vol surfers, what are they specifically going to be able to enjoy in the not so distant future?
You mean what we will offer from Symmio?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So I think the partnership with Symmio, it will be bigger than like what we announced last week, because we've been talking internally like with their team, and we know that they are doing some other stuff, like bigger stuff coming down the line. So the first product that we announced last week was Levo. So Levo is an intent-based perps market. And so basically this market will focus on having Bera perps on their chain, hopefully day one or week one. Let's see, depending on the Bera TGE. And other than that, like we'll work to see like which Bera chain assets we'll be able to support. And of course, we'll have like basically all Binance order book on chain offered for all traders. But like the most thing that I'm excited about is like as a protocol, like and as team, as IVX team, we'll have to have like less worry about the liquidity side and setting the oracle and setting like the infrastructure side, which is right now might put us like in a very bad competitive place, and rather we can focus on the distribution part, focus on making like plug-in parts. For example, we are doing stuff with AI agents regarding the trading on IVX. We are doing stuff from proof of liquidity to trade on IVX. So like this is better for us to focus on this side, and as a Symmio team is focusing on the solvers and the liquidity side and the infrastructure side, I think it will be a great fit because
Yeah,
like go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a great match, right?
Yeah, exactly. One hand can't clap, you know. You need two hands to clap.
I like that. I like that. I think just to add on what Bob just mentioned there, I think we feel like when you introduce like novel mechanics like Chain's economic advantage through proof of liquidity, and you apply that to trading, I think it can really change the way that we actually trade using these incentives. And I call this art because trading is an art. So that's the kind of term that I like to use. But they're kind of like retroactive, like trading rewards that you can essentially earn, or even in real time trading rewards that you can earn through the power of BGT. And this is all because of IVX's incredible relationships that we've been able to build over over the last year and a bit, actually, with all of the top validators on Chain. And because of this, we're going to be able to introduce perpetual futures trading into proof of liquidity, where users will be able to earn additional BGT rewards for a variety of different directional bets that they make. That could be something to do with longing the market, shorting the market, maybe opening pair trades, maybe it's kind of creating delta neutral positions. You name it, right? I think there will be some interesting stuff that we'll do. And of course, this adds this extra incentive coming in, which should of course drive up our volume. That should drive up revenue, and of course we'll be able to use this for bribing as well. So I think it's just going to create a really exciting ecosystem on Chain especially, and I think we're super excited to bring this all to you. So for all of you guys watching, you'll be able to trade your meme coins, your agent coins, your L1 coins, your gaming coins, your RWA coins, your bearers, your Bitcoin, your ETH, whatever you want, all powered by proof of liquidity as well, which is going to be fun, right, Bob?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Like I use Symmio front ends on other protocols, so I wanted to use it on IVX, to gain
Yeah,
more rewards.
yeah. There's something about being on Chain that just makes it even more fun. Trading derivatives are great, but when you trade derivatives on Chain, they're even better. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So I guess kind of going back to you, Laffer and Jack. Like you I think Jack kind of touched upon what's coming next, but like how what's the kind of time frame that we're looking at for some of these other kind of features? Is this going to be something that we're expecting soon, or is this generally throughout the year? Like, are we going to see these extra features coming on board as well?
So what Symmio is doing is that we're like hyper specialized in like one thing, which is like the protocol, right? We're obviously helping everyone, because what I saw in like 2020 was that in 2021 and also 2022 and also 2023 in DeFi is that we have like protocols and they maybe have like a super great idea, right? And then they build like the pricing function, right? Like they come up with how can you actually like create a price for that asset. And then they also potentially work on the Oracle or have like an Oracle provider, right? And then they also work on attracting the liquidity, right? And then they're also working on attracting the users. And it's like, so there's not only a liquidity fragmentation, but also like a technical fragmentation, because everyone is like building his own standard, right? Symmio is trying to change that. So we have like front ends only being focused on user acquisition and UX features and like making the interface a lot better. And then we have in the back end solvers and market makers creating the actual liquidity and the products. And we as Sim we're just pushing everyone and improving like the base for them to be building on top. And with that obviously comes challenge. So we're like playing the long game, right? We're not just working in a very close team on one feature and pushing it out. So about giving time frames, it's kind of complex with so many moving parts. But I do think that options and memes are super close. And by super close, I mean like this quarter or beginning of next quarter. Obviously, based on like other solvers I worked with, progress they made in specific amount of times, right? So yeah, it's my best guess. So things are close.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, it sounds really, really good. Given that we're building on Berachain as well, maybe Jack, like you could answer this as well. Well, kind of, what are your thoughts about the whole Berachain ecosystem? Is it something that you've been able to play around with much as well?
I haven't done too much diving into it, but when you're speaking about the BGT rewards, like it just sounds like I love the way you frame it. It's a perfect viral loop, right? It introduces this new mechanism for users to be further incentivized to take actions, and like I feel like that type of viral loop has been missing in the space, so that gets me real excited to be able to introduce additional incentives on top of them making money on derivatives, right? Like you're gonna win. We like winning, I guess. Like win win win. So no, I'm excited to to see that viral loop in action and how it can attract users.
Yep, I think it's going to be great. And I think if you ever do get a minute, spend some time in the Berachain ecosystem. I think you'll really find some lovely stuff happening there across all like the entire space. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why we decided to build here. There's lots of people who enjoy the idea of trading, enjoy the idea of speculation, and enjoy the idea of trading derivatives, I should say. And I think those guys are going to be some of our power users for sure. I think with that as well, we're not far off the hour mark, so I'd love to ask. There's thousands of you tuning in. This has actually been one of the best shows that we've done, so shout out to everyone who's watching this right now. But if you have any questions, like, this would be a great time to like ask them, whether it's to Bob and myself, or whether it's to Jack and Laffa. If you wanted to ask anything specific about Symmio, or if you wanted to ask anything specific about IVX, drop your questions now. Would be a great time before we wrap things up. And yeah.
Why I think someone asked, like, isn't options already being run by IVX? I heard that Sim will bring options and debit on chain.
Yeah, go on. You want to answer this one?
Yeah, I can. So basically, what we built at IVX is like zero DTE focused AML, and so basically will be always live. But what Symmio are working on is something like much more advanced than this, where they'll be able to bring all the options order book on chain, and we'll be following like Deribit. So Deribit like have on each expiry like 30 strikes, and they have 5 to 6 assets, and they have like 10 expiries. So I think it will be very, very interesting. Like, this is the most exciting product on chain I'm excited about, because options have like a really big liquidity problem, and this is why IVX were on Berachain at the beginning, like to solve the liquidity problem through proof of liquidity.
Yeah, I think you summed it up right, and I think like originally when we started off with IVX, right, we had this niche idea, this small concept of creating. It's not that small actually, but it's small in the on-chain world anyway. When it comes to like zero DTEs and having this specific small subsection of options and bringing that to everyone and like powering that through POL. But then when you kind of add some of these other products as well, you can kind of really expand it. And options are so broad, right? You have these are just one type of options, zero DTEs, but you can have longer term options. You can have binary options. There's so many different kinds. Bob and myself have been really experimenting with some of these more exotic type assets as well, or these exotic type speculation instruments. And so I think there's a whole range of different things that can definitely come into the IVX ecosystem. We start off small and kind of expand over time, and yeah, we'll see which ones get the real product market fit. But I think the ones that we're doubling down on right now are the ones that we really, really do believe in. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment.
Okay, Wash, someone asked me in DM if Symmio team can explain more about the meme coin trading part from like margin perspective.
Sure, but what exactly? I mean, it will work in the same sense as like the perps, right? So the solver is kind of like dictating what's happening, right? The solver is sending how much margin he will require. Solver is sending prices. Solver is sending funding rates. So we as a sim team, we have actually not as much influence. But I can tell you, based on what I saw, early benchmarks, they have 100x to 1000x liquidity depth.
Damn.
They have 90% less funding than the others, and they will probably. I'm not sure if they on the spread side because it's memes.
Of
So
course.
they obviously they're economically incentivized, and if there's no one else offering it, then they can charge a little bit more. But I can tell you that from what I saw, it will be 100x to 1000x better than anything else. Obviously, on super low caps, right? We're talking memes with 100k market cap, right?
Oh my goodness.
If they reach like 100 millions, 500 millions, and they get listed on Binance, etc., then obviously this liquidity will also be aggregated. So Sim is like kind of like a omni aggregator for anything financial markets other than spot, right? So about the margin requirements, this will be obviously very unique for each asset, depending on how that asset behaves, and the market maker can update those requirements in real time. That's what Symmio offers. So it's really different than all of the other protocols, right? But there's like one team coming up with all the formulas, how to calculate pricing, funding, everything, right? Which works, right? It can work, but if you have like thousands of assets launching every day, then you need a much more dynamic approach, and that's what Symmio is offering. So to answer the question, the margin requirements will be set by the solver depending on the markets, but it will be a lot better than anything else. And how are they hedging with leverage? Yeah, obviously they either take a position, right, in their trade. So if you're going long a meme, then they either go short, right, by just being the counterparty, or they have already assets in that meme, right? What they offer, or they buy the asset in time, or they lend it from somewhere, right? Or they work together with launch pads where they get supply. So what they can really do in the background is completely up to them. The team has been working on like spot market making for token launches since 2018, right? So they're experienced in like all of that side, and I basically pitched them for 3 years, right? You could take all of that and bring it to the perps market and be be the creator of the actual market and have like 100% dominance, right? And after a few years and after Symmio becoming more and more mature, they actually started to get interested, and we both agreed that providing leverage on memes is like that one unique feature that could capture a lot of attention. So we went with that, and so far it's pretty promising. So yeah, and just to be fair, a solver on Sim, it doesn't have to be hedged, right? He can be exposed to a meme. He can maybe hold the meme, or he can take a short position in the meme if you take long, or the opposite, right? He's basically trading kind of like against the users, against the market, but everything transparent, right? That's what I said before. Market makers need some type of control over everything, but also they need some kind of like framework, and Symmio offers that. So yeah, obviously there will be more info on all of this as we go along. Obviously, market makers don't need to share their strategy, right? So they would lose their edge. But we're trying to at least explain a lot of what's going on behind the scenes without going into too much detail, which would harm the solver.
Perfect. Perfect. We've got one last question, I guess, before we wrap things up. So let's go through this one. How do Levo's AI algorithms optimize the risk-reward balance for liquidity providers, and how does this contribute to the shared goals of IVX and Symmio? Well, first things first, IVX itself does, through our partnership with Symmio, we won't host any liquidity on Levo's front end per se. The liquidity always comes from the solvers, and some of these solvers will be using things like the Binance order book, and so liquidity will often come from there. So yeah, just to kind of clarify that one. I don't know if any of you want to add anything on top of that, but yeah.
No, I think you're good there.
Well, I think with that, we've just gone over the hour mark now, so I think let's kind of wrap things up. To both of you, Jack and Lafa, I just want to say thank you for like being part of this, for coming on our show as well. I'm sure we can do this again sometime. There's thousands of people that are watching this live, so I think they've all enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to have you on. And yeah, really excited to work further with you over the year to kind of bring Levo to fruition. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for all of the other stuff that comes out from Symmio as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in and coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I feel like I personally followed the Berachain ecosystem. I was like very early in the Ohm Discord. So I feel like Berachain really hits like this culture thing, right, perfectly. So yeah, we are pretty excited about the launch and super excited to be landing there with you together. I feel like you're doing a lot of groundwork. Amazing job. So yeah, excited to come on again on the show. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, guys. And Bob, any last comments from your side before we wrap things up?
Expect Levo in February.
Oh, next month it's coming. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you go and follow Jack, follow Lafa, follow the Symmio page as well. You can see all of the updates there. Make sure you tune in to the IVX Discord where you can get all of the alpha about what's coming up next. Make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. We'll be back again next Friday for another episode of the Weekly Vol. So until then, take care, guys, and bye-bye.
Great. See you.